So for the lesson objectives, at the end of the lesson, the learners are expected to first explain the components of telecommunication outside plant or OSP and subscriber line installation. Then demonstrate proper installation and testing of subscriber lines using standard tools and procedures, and practice responsible and safe handling of telecommunication equipment during installation and maintenance.
Students, so today we're going to talk about telecommunication. Telecommunication is a vital part of a modern life, allowing individuals, organizations, and communities to exchange information across distances. The outside plant or OSP and subscriber line installation are essential components in telecommunication networks, forming the physical infrastructures that connect subscribers to the main network. So, telecommunication DI is all about sending and receiving information distance using technology. This includes things like phone calls, internet, um, radio, and TV. To make this possible, there is a physical network that actually carries this information. The two key parts of these networks are outside plant or OSP and subscriber line. So we're going to talk about the two key parts of this network. So, what does telecommunication get? So, telecommunication is sharing information over distances using electronic devices. So, muto, the example, calling a friend in another city, sending an email or joining a video call. So, why does it matters? Because it keeps people, businesses, and communities connected through telecommunication or through electronic devices or the technology. Next is the outside plant or OSP. So OSP is a part of the telecommunication network that is outside the center office, including all key components. First is cables, twisted pair, coaxial, fiber optic. Next is poles and towers. It supports aerial cables. Ducts and conduits protects underground cables. Manholes and handholds provide access for maintenance. Cabinets and distribution frames organize cable connections. So, example, fiber optic cables along streets connecting to homes. The network important. So, provides a reliable physical connection, protects cables from environmental damage, simplifies maintenance and troubleshooting. So, the outside plant DI, it is the part of the telecom network that exists outside its central office, and it includes all the physical things needed to deliver signals, just like what I said, the cables. It is a twisted pair coaxial fiber optic, so this carry the data, ang cables. Ang poles and towers, it holds aerial cables above the ground. Ducts and conduits, it is underground pipes that protect cables. Manholes and handholds, it is access point for workers to maintain cables. Cabinets and distribution frames, it organize and connect cables. Example, fiber optic cables running along streets connecting homes to the network. So the importance of this is it ensures a reliable physical connection. It protects cables from weather, accidents, or damage. It makes maintenance and repairs easier. Next is the last and but not the least, the subscriber line. So a subscriber line, it is the physical connection from the telecommunication provider's networks to the end user premises, and it allows users to access voice, internet, data, and services. Example, telephone line installed at home or office, fiber optic connection for broadband internet. So the purpose of this is to connect individual users to the main network. It provides a medium for communication and data transfer. Explanation of this is that the subscriber line is the physical line. It is the connect the user's home or office to the telecommunication provider's network. So, example, a telephone line in your house, a fiber optic internet connection. So, the purpose of this subscriber line, so it lets the individual users access voice and internet services. It provides a pathway for communication and data transfer. So, that's the meaning of the subscriber line. So, for short, so para di maglibog mo, so the telecommunication is the system of sending information over distances. So just like a bridge, without a bridge, you can communicate with other people. The OSP is the infrastructure outside the central office that carry this signals safely. Subscriber lines is to connect the network directly to people's homes or offices. So that would be my part. Thank you.
Let's proceed to components of outside plant or OSP. First is cables. Twisted pair, used for telephone lines and low-speed data transmission. Coaxial cable, used for cable TV and broadband. Fiber optic cable, high-speed and long-distance communication. Example, fiber to the home or FTTH uses fiber optic cables for fast internet. Cables. Cables are the main medium that carries communication signals like phone, internet, or TV from the service provider to homes, offices, and schools. So, without cables, signals cannot travel and communication would not be possible. It provides fast, reliable, and organized connections for everyday communication. So, there are three types of cables. First is twisted pair. So, it is used for telephone lines and slow internet. And second is the coaxial cable. So, it is used for cable TV and broadband internet. Third one is the fiber optic cable. So, it is used for very fast internet and long distance communication. So, example of this is fiber to the home or FTTH. So, it uses fiber optic cables to give fast internet to houses. Next is poles and towers. Support aerial cables, maintain proper tension and height, reduce the risk of physical damage. Example, telephone poles along streets holding twisted pair and fiber cables. So poles and towers hold cables in the air. They keep the cables high and tight so they will not fall or get damaged. So poles and towers safely hold aerial or the overhead cables. They prevent cables from touching the ground, reducing the risk of damage and accidents. And it also keeps cables at the right height and tension for safety and reliability. So without them, cables can sag, break, or become unsafe. Example of this is telephone poles on the street carry fiber and telephone wires. Another one is electric posts carrying internet wires in neighborhoods. Next, we have conduits and ducts. Protect underground cables from moisture and physical damage. Facilitate cable pulling and future expansion. Example, PVC or HDPE conduits used in underground fiber optic installations. Conduits and ducts are pipes placed underground. They protect cables from water and damage. They also make it easier to add new cables in the future. Conduits and ducts make the underground network more durable, safe, and easier to maintain. So without them, cables can easily break, causing service interruptions. So example of this is PVC pipes are used to protect underground fiber optic cables. Next is manholes and handholds. Access points for underground cable maintenance. Simplify repairs without digging large areas. Example, a handhole near a sidewalk for accessing multiple subscriber lines. Manholes and handholds are opening in the ground. Workers use them to check and repair underground cables without digging a big hole. So it is important because manholes and handholds are the access points for underground cables. They allow technicians to inspect, repair, or connect cables without digging large areas. They can also make maintenance faster, safer, and more cost-effective. So without them, repairs require digging roads and sidewalks, causing delays and extra cost. Example of this is handholds on sidewalks for accessing multiple subscriber lines. Another one is round concrete or telecom covers on streets, which are manholes for maintenance. Last is the cabinets and distribution frames. It serves as connection points for multiple subscribers. Organize and protect cables. Example, street cabinets where multiple fiber lines converge before entering buildings. So cabinets and distribution frames are boxes where many cables are connected. They help organize and protect the cables before going to houses or buildings. So cabinets and distribution frames organize, connect, and protect multiple subscriber lines. They serve as central points for distributing signals from the main network to homes or buildings. Examples of this is grain or gray street cabinets where fiber lines converge before entering homes. Another one is telecom rooms in apartments with distribution frames connecting each unit. So good day class. So we're going to talk about subscribers line installations. So this is a structured process na to set up communication lines for users, ensuring correct connections and dependable services. So subscriber line installation is a step-by-step process that sets up the physical communication lines that connects a user's home or business to a phone or internet services provider. Think of it like a building or building a dedicated pathway for information to travel back and forth. So technicians first plan where lines will run, then install cables either underground or overhead or through walls, connect them to the provider's network and the user's devices like phones or modems, and finally test everything to make sure calls are clear and internet works reliably. Every part is carefully done to ensure the connection is set up right and stays consistent for the users. So a site survey, it is a preliminary assessment of the user's location before installing begins. So meaning, a site survey is the first checkup technicians to do at a user's home or business before setting up any communication lines. So it's like mapping out a project before building. They took around the entire space to figure out where everything will go and choose the best way to run cables either up on poles, in air, or buried underground. And make sure that they aren't problems like existing utility lines, building, or trees that you get in the way. These steps help them plan safely and efficiently so the rest of the installation goes smoothly. Inspecting the subscriber's premises means technicians visit the location and carefully look at the physical space where the communication line will be installed. They check things like the layout of the rooms, where devices like phones or modems will be placed, how cables can be routed through walls or along floors, and what specific needs the users has. For example, if they need connections in multiple rooms. This ensures the installation fits well in the space and work for how the users to use services. So next is identifying the best route for cables, aerial or underground. Decide whether to run cables above ground on poles or below ground through ducts based on feasibility. Identifying the best cable route means deciding whether to run the communication lines above ground, meaning aerial, or utility poles below underground or underground. In protective tubes or ducts, technicians choose based on what's possible and practical. For instance, aerial cables might be faster and cheaper to install in areas with existing poles, while underground cables are often used in neighborhoods where overhead lines could be insightfully or could be damaged by weather or trees. So the goal is to pick a route that's safe, reliable, and causes least disruption. So next is Check existing infrastructure and potential obstacles. So look at current utility lines, building, or natural features that could affect installation. So checking existing infrastructure and potential obstacle involves looking at what's already in place or around the location that could affect the installation. So technicians look for things like other utility lines such as electric, water, gas, and building fences, trees, hills, or even underground pipes that might block or interfere with the new communication cables. So by spotting this early, they can adjust their plan to avoid damage to existing systems, prevent safety risks, and make sure that new lines are installed correctly without causing problems for the user or the community. And for letter B, we have cable routing. So this is the process of laying or stringing cables from the service provider's network to the user's premises. So cable routing is the step where technicians actually run communications cable from the service provider's main network all the way to the user's home or business. So it's all about laying down the information highway that connects the user to the rest of the world. So meaning they can either attach cables to overhead poles, bury them underground in protective tubes, or use existing underground paths. So along the way, they follow important rules to make sure that cables work well and last long time. Like not bending them too sharply, not pulling them too tight, and keeping them away from things that can create electrical interference, so which can mess up phone calls or internet signals. So in cable routing, we have the aerial installation. Cables are mounted on utility poles or overhead structures. Aerial installation is when communication cables are attached to utility poles, buildings, or other overhead structures instead of being buried. So this is one of the most common methods where technicians use insulators and clamps to secure the cable safely above the ground, usually along existing lines for electricity or telephone services. It's often quicker and less expensive to set up an underground installation, especially in areas where poles are already in place, though it can be more visible and may not need extra protection from severe weather like strong winds or heavy rains. So if we're done on aerial installations, so we're now on the underground installations. So cable are placed inside protective tubes or conduit or pre-existing underground channels. Underground installation involves placing communication cables inside the protective plastic or metal tubes that are called conduits, or running them through pre-existing underground channels used for other utilities. So technicians dig trenches or use special equipment to feed cables into these spaces, so the lines are hidden and protected from weather, falling, branches, or accidental damage. This method is common in new neighborhoods or areas where overhead lines are not allowed for appearance or safety reasons. And while it takes more time and work to install, it generally leads to more durable and reliable connections. So next is best practices. So these are the set of guidelines technicians follow when routing cables to make sure that they perform well and last as long as possible. So key rules includes avoiding tight bends, lifting damaged wires inside the cables or slow down signals, not overstretching cables which could weaken connections, and keeping them away from sources of electrical interference like power lines, transformers, or even household appliances. So following these steps prevents signal disruption, reduces the need of future repairs, and ensures the communication service says not to stay consistent for the users. And for letter C, we have line termination. So the final step of connecting the installed cables to users' devices or internal wiring. Line termination is the last step in setting up a communication line where technicians connect the cables that run from the service provider to the user's own devices and internal wiring. So it's like plugging in the final piece to make everything work together. Like they link the external cable to things like internet modems, phones, or home network gear, and install special parts like wall jacks, terminal blocks, or optical network terminals for fiber services. So these components create safe, reliable connection points and for fiber optic lines. Even converts the light-based signals used by the provider into electrical signals that regular home devices can understand. So next is connecting the cables to the subscriber's equipment, means linking the external communication line that was routed to the premises directly to the devices with the users actually use. So for example, technicians might plug the line into an internet modem so it can provide Wi-Fi to computer users and the phone users, or connect it to the telephone base unit so calls can be made and received. This step ensures the signal from providers reaches the user's gear, turning the installed cables into working services they can access daily. So next is installing these components involves putting in specialized hardware to create stable connection points between the external cable and the user's internal setup. So wall jacks are the familiar ports. You plug phones or internet cables into your walls. So it is a terminal block that organizes multiple connections neatly if there are lines going to different rooms. For fiber optic services, an ONT is essential because it is a small box that makes the light signals traveling through the fiber cable and converts them into electrical signals that standard home devices can process. And all these parts are installed securely to prevent signal loss and make it easy for the user to connect their equipment. And for letter D, we have testing and verification. So checking that installed lines work properly and meet service standards. So this is the step where technicians make sure that the installed communication lines works as it should and meets the provider's quality standards. So they use specialized tools to check key aspects of the connections, then confirm that the actual services like internet or phone calls function properly for the user. It's like doing a final checkup to guarantee everything set up correctly before handing this service over. So technicians use a specific tools depending on the type of line, such as multimeters, are used for copper cables to measure electrical properties, while optical time domain or reflectometers or OTDRs check fibers optic lines by sending light signals to assess the cable's condition. These are devices that help spot any hidden issues that aren't visible just by looking at the cable. Each tool is designed to accurately evaluate the unique characteristics of its respective line type. So next we have checking the continuity, voltage, and signal strength. So this means ensuring the line is unbroken, has correct power levels if applicable, and transmits strong, clear signals. So continuity ensures the line has no breaks or gaps that would stop signals from traveling through it. Voltage checks confirms copper lines have different right electrical power levels when needed. Then signal strength measurements like making sure the connection is strong enough to deliver clear calls or fast internet without interruptions. And all three checks are critical to ensuring reliable performance. So lastly, we have verify internet or voice service. So it's all about confirming that the users can access the intended services without the issue. So this final check means actually using the service the way the users would, connecting to the internet to browse websites or streaming content, or making and receiving phone calls to test, clarify. Technicians confirm that there are no delays, dropouts, or quality issues that would affect the user's experience. It ensures the installation doesn't just meet the technical standard but works well for real-world use. And for the letter E, we have documentation. So documentation is the process of writing down very important detail about the subscriber's line installation, so it can be referred to later. So technicians record exactly what works was done, where cables were placed, and how the test turned out. Then keep these records organized to make maintenance, upgrade, or fixing problems much easier down the line. Then it's like creating a detailed map and history of the installation that anyone working on the line in the future can use. Next, we have safety practices. So these are the guidelines not to protect technicians, equipment, and the environment during the installation. So first, we have here the electrical safety. So it measures to prevent electrical shock or damage from electrical systems. So electrical safety refers to the step taken to protect people and equipment from harm caused by the electricity, like electric shock or damage to devices. And it includes critical rules such as never touching wires that carry electricity unless you're trained to do so, and using tools with special non-conductive handles to lower chance of the accidental contact with electrical current. And following this measurement is essential to keep both technicians and users safe during and after any installation work. And next is avoid touching live wires. So never handle energized cables or components unless properly trained. Live wires are cables or components that are carrying electrical current at that time. So you should never handle them unless you have proper training, protective gear, and know how to work with energized systems safely. So even if a small amount of electrical current can cause serious shock, burns, and other injuries. So keeping away from live wires is one of the most important safety rules. And next is use insulated tools. So tools with non-conductive handles reduce the risk of electrical contact, because insulated tools have handles that is made from materials that don't conduct electricity, like rubber or plastics. These are the tools that creates a barrier between your hands and electrical parts that touches the wire, then reducing the risk of electric shock if the tool accidentally comes into your hands or contact with a live wire. So using them is a basic but an effective way to safety when working near electrical systems during installation or maintenance. So next is the personal protective equipment or the PPE. These are gear worn to protect the technician's body. So like hard hats, gloves, safety shoes, reflective vest. So these are essential tools, equipments in the working area. So first we have hard hats. Hard hats prevents head from injuries. Then gloves protect your hands. Then safety shoes guards feet, and reflective vest improves visibility. And the third one we have cable handling. Proper ways to work with cables to avoid damage and ensure performance. Cable handling refers to the correct methods of working with communication cables to keep them in good condition and ensures they perform as intended. So this means not bending or twisting cables too much, as this can damage the wires inside or make signals weaker. And using tools made specifically for cutting and stripping cables to avoid harming them while getting them ready for connections. So following these practices helps prevent problems like signal loss or need for costly repair later on. So next is avoid bending or twisting cables excessively. Overly tight bends or twists can break internal wires or degrade signal quality. Cables have thin internal wires or glass fibers for fiber optics that can break or get damaged if bent too sharply or twisted repeatedly. So overly tight bends can also change how signal travel through the cable, leading to slower internet or unclear calls. To keep cables working well, they should be routed with gentle curves and kept straight whenever possible. And next is use proper tools for cutting and stripping. Specialized tools prevent damaging cable while preparing them for connection. Specialized cable cutters may clean even cuts without crushing or fraying the cable's outer jacket or internal parts, while stripping tools carefully remove only the protective covering to expose the wires inside. So, using regular scissors or pliers can literally damage the delicate internal components, which would cause signal problems or make connections unreliable. These proper tools are designed to handle different cable types more safely and accurately. So, lastly, we have environmental considerations. So these are the practices to minimize impact on public spaces and nature. So environmental considerations are the practices to follow during installations to reduce harm to both public spaces and the natural world. A key part of this is being careful not to damage things like sidewalks, roads, or trees, specifically when digging for underground cables or working near these areas. So technicians take steps to protect public infrastructure and vegetation, so ensuring the work doesn't disrupt the community or harm the environment. So these efforts help keeps spaces safe, functional, and looking good for everyone. And we also have avoid damaging sidewalks, roads, or trees. So take care when digging or working near public infrastructure or vegetation to prevent harm. When working on cable installation, technicians must be mindful of public structures and plants. No. So, for example, if digging a trench for underground cables, they use proper techniques to cut or lift pavements carefully so it can be replaced quickly. And avoid digging too close to tree roots, which could weaken or probably kill the tree. So damaging sidewalks or roads can create hazard for people, specifically those people who are working or driving. While harming trees can disrupt local ecosystem and take away shade or green space. Taking care to protect these elements ensures the installation is responsible and respectful of the area.
Tools and equipment for OSP and subscriber line installation. So this tool, think of it as senses and hands of the technician. So this tool him what allows him to see what's happening inside the cable and manipulate wires with precision. So number one tool is the cable cutter and strippers. So before you connect anything, you have to get the core one. So you use this to remove the jacket or the insulator what covers the wire of the cable. So this tool you can safely remove without damaging the wire. You can safely remove the jacket without damaging the wire. So if the wire got damaged, it can cause short circuit or signal loss to the internet. The next tool is the punch down tool. So the concept of this is like the bridge builder. So when you need to connect a thin wire to a terminal block, you don't just tie it. So you use this tool to punch down the wire into a metal slot. So when the wire trims off the excess, it's creating a permanent high quality connection. So kaya dili mawala-wala ang signal. Next is the multi-tester. The multi-tester, so it's like a electrical stethoscope. So when you using the multi-tester, you all know that we cannot see the electricity. So this multi-tester tells you what's happening. So you use this to check the continuity or the pathway or voltage, kung gaano kalaki yung voltage na dumadaloy sa isang wire. So this is the tool that allows you to troubleshoot. So before you use the OSP, you just need to test it first kung gumagana ba siya or hindi. Next is the optical time domain reflector o OTDR. So the concept of this is like a X-ray machine for a fiber optics. So this is a high-tech tool for fiber lines. It sends a pulse of light which the cable and listens for our reflections. So if there's a break or bad splice, you just need to scan it so mahibaw-an ra siya. So you can know exactly where is the problem. So using this tool, you don't need to dig up the whole street. So next is the ladder and safety harness. So the concept of this is like a safety net sa nag-perform nito. So usually the person was usually work on a high place areas. So using this tool, they can tie themselves safely. So the harness isn't just a normal belt. So what makes you attach to the buckle or pole so you can work with both of your hands. So without fearing na you will fall while working. Next is the cable reel and pulling equipment. So this is like the muscle. Cables are heavy, can be easily damaged if dragged over concrete. This equipment ensure that the cable rolls out smoothly and it is pulled the right amount of tension, so preventing na mga guba ang cables. So it will cause also a ruin ng signal. Next, let's talk about the troubleshooting and common problems in transcriber line. So in troubleshooting, you just like being a detective. So you start with the crime or the problem and use your tools just like I mentioned earlier, the multitester and OTDRs to find the culprit or the fault. So the first common problem in transcriber line is no dial tone or signal. So this is usually happens means if there's a hard break in the line or a complete disconnected terminal. Second is the low speed or low signal. Tama? So this often caused by attenuation or the signal getting through but it's being weakened by a bad splice. So that's why using a right tool or a wire stripper to connect the fiber cable. So usually there might be a moisture in the wire, so the wire got damaged, so causing a low or slow signal connection. Next, third is the noise interference. So it is common on copper wire lines where electrical wires was too close to the data lines crossing a crosstalk. So in troubleshooting, technicians have 5 steps method. Number 1 is checking physical connection and cable integrity. So here, you don't need to overthink. Like, start on investigating the surroundings. So there might be a loose plug cable that's been chewed by a pet or a mice or accidentally crushed by a furniture. So that might be a common problem. So next is the verifying the correct line termination. So using a punch down tool, you can reset the wires that might have been vibrated or loosened. Next is the test signal with multitester or OTDR. So using the multitester for copper, you can see the road if it is opened or blocked. So if there's enough electricity, you can use the multitester. While using the OTDR, you can simply scan or x-ray it like so you can see the problem. So next is the inspection of network equipment or the modem. So is the modem or ONT getting power? Sometimes the cable is fine but the brain or the system is frozen. So lastly, apply fixes and retest. So you never leave the job or troubleshooting until it gets done or tested it again. A fix isn't just a fix until speed say it's so. So next, let's tackle about the real world application of OSP and transcriber line. So, where does this work and actually go? Saan nga ba ito na natin nagagamit? This is the backbone of our modern life in our digital world. So first is the residential installation or our homes. So FTTF, fiber to the home, this is the gold standard of residential internet. So replacing the old copper wires with a light speed fiber. While on business networks, for example, if this is the link in the Google Meet, Zoom, it allows users to connect each other, talk about their businesses, connect to their business partner, their clients, and that is one also the application of OSP and transcriber line. Next is smart cities, actually. So, ever wondered how a traffic camera sends the video onto the headquarters, or the CCTVs sends the video to the headquarters? So, it is all connected via outside plant or OSP. So, the infrastructure you're learning about. Next is the emergency services. For the police, the fire departments, these lines aren't just a browsing. So they are a critical liveliness that must be redundant and reliable. So, in summary, to sum up this together, the focus of this or the goal of this is about connectivity. So the skeleton is the OSP, or there are poles, ducts, and manholes, while the subscriber lines serve as the nervous system because there are cables and fibers. For the maintenance, using the right tool and safety practices, you can keep the system healthy. The core on telecommunication relies on a robust OSP or outside plant infrastructure. So, a network of poles, ducts, and cables to bridge the gap between the provider and the end user. So, successful transcriber line installation is a precise process involving careful site surveys, secure termination, detailed documentation, and all while prioritizing safety and using a proper tool usage to protect the personnel. And also don't forget the equipment. By following the structured troubleshoot approach, the physical inspection to the advantage of signal testing or OTDR, technician ensures reliable connectivity that powers everything from residential broadband to critical emergency services and the smart city networks. So, I hope you learned something new on this discussion. So, let's move on a Q&A part.